Hey everyone, welcome to the Old Guy channel. I'm Doug McNeil, and this video is about restoring an old swimming hole up here at Camp Sierra. And you're in for a treat because I got to work with a bunch of old guys on this job. And you couldn't have asked for a better team of old guys if you took applications and you interviewed for the jobs. But none of us are paid, we're all volunteers. We've all got our own story about how we got involved here at the camp and why we do the things we do. But talking to a couple of them, we kind of feel like God has led us and called us to this because He still has a purpose with this camp. And we all have complementary skills. When one guy has a hard time, the next guy steps up, and we got through this difficult job doing that. And you'll see the story here in a few minutes. All right, so the swimming hole is comprised of a stream called Balsam Creek and a dam that was built in 1921. That dam was improved in 1964, and about 14 feet from the top of the dam, down at the bottom, there's a 30-inch gate valve. I don't know exactly what happened, but a combination of heavy rainstorms and erosion caused by the creek fire in 2020 deposited a lot of sand, rock, and debris in the swimming hole while the gate was closed. It made it into a great wading pool for the little kids, but ruined it for everybody else. The decision was made to clean out the swimming hole, and a few of us guys started thinking about how to do it. The key, of course, was to get down there and open the gate. But how do you do that when it's so deep and there's a river running through it the whole time? Somehow we would have to get down there and open the valve. After we had permits, we tried digging down to the gate valve. We hired an operator with experience on projects like these, but as he dug deeper, the sand would slide down and the excavator would sink in and it would have to move back. So the excavator never did get deep enough to open the valve. This method was only able to deepen some areas and create piles of material in other areas. The gate valve was still buried with heavy sand and rock. The next thing we decided to do was to pump a whole lot of air and water into the soil against the valve and stir it up so much that it would drift downstream and remove the pressure from the valve. So Brett rented a compressor and we all met there one Saturday morning. PSI with an open hose. At first we thought it was working great. We worked the nozzles down into the soil so they were right in front of the gate and left them there a long time. The water was really dirty, and we could see the stream carrying it away. Look at all that crud coming out of there. So Russ, was this all your idea?
Oh, absolutely not.
I climbed down below the dam. Now I'm trying to clean this out. I'm digging out the valve here. The dirty water eventually cleared up, but whenever we measured down to the bottom with a stick, it never got deep enough. It never cleared the material away from the gate. When the valve wouldn't open, we concluded that the lighter and more organic soils floated away, but our soil was mostly sand and rock that was too heavy to float away. So after those attempts didn't work out, Russ and I put our heads together and made a plan. I shopped for a dredge with an air pump for breathing underwater and found one in San Luis Obispo. I made the deal and drove over one morning to pick it up. I left at 5 in the morning and was home again early afternoon. I spent some time getting everything ready to go. We set the equipment up the first day, and that went about like I expected, but this was the first time I'd ever worked underwater, and that was much harder than I expected. I'll spare you the ugly details, but Russ and the others were very patient with me. I wasn't very effective when the water got deep, especially after the water got muddy and dark. You had to go into a deep hole and suck material out, but you could only see about a foot in front of your face, and as you worked, the material around you would cave in. It was very difficult work and frankly, quite dangerous too. A friend named Jeff, an experienced diver, seemed rather concerned for me and offered to take my place. He couldn't stay the whole time but was down there for a couple of hours. That finished the first day of dredging. I was no better the second day, and the hard work of dredging fell on Russ. As God's providence would have it, Russ actually had a great deal of dredging experience with the same kind of equipment. That skill, along with his courage and determination, made him the one most prepared for this difficult job. I felt terrible about the situation, but Russ was understanding and cheerful. I stayed above, kept the machinery running, and watched every breath he took. The first time he went down, he worked for 3.5 hours without coming up once. There was a lot of wood debris, too big to go through the dredge, so I tied a rope to an old milk crate and lowered it down. Russ would fill it up and pull on the rope so I would empty it. By the end of the day, he said the dredge wasn't sucking very well because it was getting so deep. So the third day was spent reconfiguring the dredge setup, adding a long 4-inch hose over the spillway, creating a natural siphon that gave the dredge the power it needed for the deepest material. On the fourth day, Russ dredged for about 5 hours and came up exhausted. He said he was by the red gate, but the material kept caving in. We decided to go for it and try and open the gate. With David working the wheel above and me rapping on the outside of the gate below, the gate cracked open.
Wow, look at that. They're going to fall in. They better be careful. Oh my.
Oh my God.
My. Wow. Trying to get all that out. Wow.
I got this thing open all the way in.
As soon as the gate opened, everything got chaotic. The ground in the swimming hole started to cave in and slide toward the gate. We had stuff sitting around that had to be moved, and trees that had to be tied up so they wouldn't go into the gate and plug it up. That's a long ways from here down to there. It's a long ways. It says 12 feet, but I think it's more like 14 feet. And it's hard working that down that deep. When you're in the water, it's hard. I didn't do much of it. It's getting pretty deep. Yeah, the sand was filled in clear across here, and now the river's taking it down in the night. Look at all this sand down here. You can see the sand's way down there. It filled, socked it in, and then the water's taking it away. The next phase was to remove logs and large debris. We pulled some logs out the same day we opened the valve. but most were done the next week.
Came from right over there, buried in the sand. Adam brought his winch up and it's saving us.
Then the huge job of washing all the sand and gravel into the stream began. David did almost all of this by himself, with a few helpers, using a water pump and a fire nozzle. I think it took over 3 weeks. I'd guess 90 to 100 hours of spraying water.
Well, today's the day. We're going to close the gate and start filling up the swimming hole. The sand's all blasted out and it'll be ready for a winter swim. Anybody who's willing to indulge in the cold, maybe have their wetsuit on. We'll keep the gate closed until it looks like the first heavy storm comes in, and then we'll reopen it and drain the pool again. Quite a job to get all that debris out of here, but it's looking good.
Then there was the work of cutting and clearing trees and brush around the perimeter to improve the general appearance of the area, make it safer, and protect it from fire. Again, David did most of this, with a little help from his friends. One day when David and I were there, we decided to drain the swimming hole and then refill it, thinking it might clean it out more. We noticed a few inches of new sand had already started building up on the bottom, most of which was washed out by the stream in the short time it was empty. All right, there you go. We did it. We got the job done. That's not the kind of project you can do on your own. I want to give a big thanks to all those guys that helped with this. And more than that, more importantly, I want to thank God for sending them here to Camp Sierra, because we really need them here. If it would have been up to me alone, it would have failed for sure. I couldn't have made it work. So anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm a 2 or better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor kind of old guy. Check this out. Deep water.